Everyone, Mr. Simon Special back with another Crossout tutorial video. As requested previously by one of you guys, I will be showcasing you how to build HOWL. Scale accurate, of course. Now, HOWL is one of the weirdest cabins ever for building. Like Torero previously, it has been raised and tilted forwards, as you can see here, by these huge rebars or struts or whatever they are. And the rear part doesn't actually link up with the cabin, which is very unfortunate. Even the description says at an unusual angle. But let's not waste any more time with the intro. Let's get right into the build. Now, of course, if you didn't know, HOWL is based off of the Dodge Viper, which coincidentally also got added to Fortnite recently. But either way, you're going to start off with a 3x4 frame and two 1x7 frames, placing them on the front of the in front of the 3x4 frame, like so. So there is a 2-pin gap between them. After that, you're going to get your HOWL cab. You're going to place that with one pin overlapping the lightweight frame. Now, it won't show weld points actually on the frame, so all the weld points will be on the 1x7s, but the cab will still be overlapping the 3x4. Once you've done that, you're going to get your low clearance wheels. Place those steering ones as far forwards as you can on the 1x7s, and the rear ones on as far backwards on the 3x4 as you can as well. Starting with the structure parts, you're going to go down to your Nomad pieces and get an AVIA panel. Place it on the front of your HOWL with a 1-pin gap between it and the 1x7 frames. Making sure not to place it as high up like that, but keeping it down low. In front of that, you're going to get two AVIA slopes and place those just together like that. I'm using two AVIA slopes together instead of a large AVIA slope because the large one is slightly rustier. But once you've done that, you're going to get your left phalanx, I think that's how you pronounce it, phalanx, and your right phalanx, which are of course the HOWL's wheel arches for the front, which is also known as the famine set. You're just going to place them on either side of the Nomad pieces, so the wheel arch is above your front steering wheel and is as far back against the cab so it links together like so. Now that you've done that, you're going to go down all the way to the bumpers to get the bumper piece, which is the cranium. You just slap it on the front just like that so it links up the phalanxes. So far your front should look like this if you followed everything correctly. Starting with the rear, you're going to get two more AVIA slopes and place those side by side on the rear of the HOWL cab, 1 pin below the top on each side, just like so. And then behind those, you're going to get the rear of the HOWL called the rump. Just place it behind the two AVIA slopes like so. And so the roof transitions down to the rump. I have been told to try out the hot rod grill, which is like so, but I don't really like how the hot rod grill kind of has this frame which isn't paintable on the either side, and it's kind of, you know, transparent if you look at it sideways. So instead, I'm going to use the fairing bottoms, the right one on the left and the left one on the right, like so, to transition smoothly down to the rump. like so. Though, to the person who suggested I use the hot rod grill, it wasn't a bad shout. Again, I just prefer using the fairing bottoms. Now to place in your hardware, you're going to get a car jack and slap that sideways in the rear, as close up to the cab as you can get, just like so. And then you're going to get a Maxwell and just slap that in the front so the dome is facing forwards. Just like that. Continuing with the rear, with the front, you are going to go down to your nomad pieces again and get an avian narrow slope. And you can place those on its side at the front with the slope facing forwards on each side, just like so. And then behind those, you're going to get a T-pipe and place them so the pipe is facing up and down and forwards. If you followed everything correctly so far, this is what your build should be looking like. Continuing on with the rear, you got to get your left buggy corner, place that on the rear just above the low carrots wheel, with the hard side facing inwards and the grate facing upwards, and with the angle facing the rear. And just going to do the same with a right buggy corner on the right side, just like so. After that, you're going to get more avian narrow slopes and place those on the rear of your car jack, so the slope is facing the low clearances, just like so. And to finish off the structure parts, you're going to get your van ramp and place those up just on the underside of the avian narrow slopes, with the ramp facing downwards. Just to finish off with two catch bumpers, you're going to rotate those and place those on either side of the underside of the cab, just like so. Now for the decorations pieces, you're going to go down to your square covers, place those so the hinges are facing forwards. This will line up the bonnet with the flanks just a little bit better. You're also going to get two braces and place those on each side of the rear of your cab, but making sure not to have them like that or that. You're going to need them just above the catch bumper, but also as far backwards as you can on the HOWL. For the wheel arches, you are going to get the toppers and just place those on either side above each rear low clearance wheel. Fortunately, you can't do the same for the front, as the phalanxes are actually half a pin sticking outwards, which is slightly unfortunate that we don't have a piece to do the same on the rear. Either way, you're going to continue on by getting the Dawn's Children exhaust, which is the exhaust module. You're going to get two of those, place those on the rear like so. Not too far under like that, or too far forwards like that. Just making sure they line up with the rear of the ramp. And underneath those, you're going to get a decorative grille. And just place those against the avian slopes, just like that. For the wing mirrors, very quickly, you're going to get your left rover mirrors, place that on the left. Your right rover mirror, and place that on the right. To finish off the construction, you're going to get your tank headlights and place those on the upside down underneath the avian arrow slopes that we placed earlier. Now for painting. Now remember, you don't have to paint like how I paint. You can paint and decorate yours however you like, but this is how I'm going to be painting mine. So you're going to just paint every part that you see me painting in white sun. You will have to remove one square cover to paint the AVIA panel underneath them, including the braces and the toppers. Next I'm going to use carbon for the catch bumpers, Maxwell, tank headlights, and generally any piece that's inside the build. And you're going to get aluminium cover and paint your low clearances and your rover mirrors. Now for stickering, very quickly you're going to just simply get your quick starts, look directly down and make sure they are straight, and just going to line them up so they make a nice, I'm actually going to move them inside a bit more, just like so. And just so you don't see these scratches, you're gonna if you have enough quick start stickers, you're just gonna layer them on top of each other. For the front, you're just very simply gonna get another one. This is weird. It's at an angle. Didn't do this earlier. Just gonna line it up like so. It's very strange. Earlier it didn't have the weird angle. Either way, now that the stripe is done, for the badges you're gonna get your creeping deaths. I've mentioned that you like to use these for my sportier car badges. HOWL is indeed a sportier car. Just gonna place those on the rump and the cranium like I just did. For the roof, you're going to get a try to keep up and place that in there just like so. I realise what I did wrong now. They were lined up better earlier. But either way, you can either place it like that, hanging it over the fairing bottoms, or have it slightly smaller. You could either just place it directly on top of the HOWL, like so. I'm going to keep it on the fairing bottoms. Just for a little bit more decoration, you get 2 more of those. Place those on the rump at the second smallest size. So you'll be shrinking it down to its smallest size and then growing it by 1. Placing those on either side, in between your toppers, just along these curves. They should look like that when you're done. And if you really want to go all out, you could place those on the phalanxes as well. I'm going to place mine at the very bottom, shrinking them down to the smallest size this time. You will need to have these at an angle to line up with the part. Just like so. That's going to be it for today's build tutorial. If you do want to add some holograms, I have left space as a 2x5 grid in there. Or you could either open up the rear and place one in this space here. For example, if you wanted some tail lights, you could add the dragon's gaze, like so, before closing it up again, like that. And then when you activate it, it will create a streak in line with the tail lights. And if you wanted some functioning tail lights for when you use your brakes, you could get the small round brake lights. Place those on the underside of the rump, just like that, on either side of the exhaust modules. There you have your working tail lights. The tank headlights also function too. Well, that's going to be it for today's build tutorial video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Next video will be about Pilgrim. So I'll be making a Dawn's Children rover with Pilgrim. Which, if you didn't know, Dawn's Children is also the owners of HOWL and its part set. If you guys noticed, the tooltips when I was looking at each piece from the Famine part set showed the Dawn's Children logo, which is quite interesting. But if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It means so much to me. It's free and you can undo it at any time. And if you didn't like the video, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys on how I could improve these videos. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Very briefly, here's what the HOWL looks like driving around, zoomed in by 1. Which is how I like to drive around my scale accurate cars. This is what it looks like fully zoomed out. The rear was inspired by the Quadra VTEC from Cyberpunk, with the exhaust, as making a closed bumper for the HOWL is very tricky, and sometimes it doesn't even look that good. But I felt like the exhaust modules looked perfect. Again, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to stay notified for my next uploads and any that I do in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.